Folks, well, we made it to the end of 2023. And the question everybody wants to know, is it going to get better? Is it going to get worse? We made it. Does the game piece era finally put an end to the never-ending era of Magic the Gathering? Does the game piece era finally bring an end of the 30-year reign of Magic? So, I can't believe it's the end of this year. And boy, what a year of success and failures in the CCG world if I've ever seen one. I'm just going to kind of talk about what I'm reflecting on this year. And we'll maybe talk a little bit about what's coming next year. Let's start with Magic. Then we'll move into Flesh and Blood, MetaZoo, Weiss, Sorcery, Disney, One Piece, Pokemon, Force of Will. And, we'll talk about it. So let's start with Magic the Gathering. I think looking back, I think 2023 is going to be summed up very negatively when looked back upon in Magic. I think moving into 2024 and 5-10 years from now, people are going to look back at the post-COVID era of when the world came off of the free money highs and all the rewiring that everybody went through about what is money, the value of money, how to make money, and how it kind of came easily and left just as easily. And I think we're going to see a lot of negative reflection on this year. I think 2023 is going to be summed up as the Commander Masters overpricing, not overprinting. I think the Commander Master set boxes, in the collapse of those, stores wanting to pay $320 and sell for $400, collapsed at a low, I think about low 200s before recovering. It's actually recovered quite a bit. I think even Commander Master sets back at 300 plus. I think it might be almost 320 after 6 to 8 months of collapsing. I think it's back to what a store pays. I don't know if I consider that successful. The collapse of Aftermath and Epilogue. The recovery of Boulder's Gate. Go figure. The Amazon dump era. I think the lack of all money returning to the reserve list in vintage products, sealed products across the board of old and new. The sheer volume of price decline on vintage singles and sealed, and even new sealed, modern sealed. I don't think it really matters what it is. We've been, the sheer degree of drop is very substantial. I've never seen a drop on a percentage scale this heavily. But remember, context matters. If you actually look at a chart from 2019, and then you look at the 2020, 2021 COVID bump, and then you look at 2022, 2023, actually, if you take out the 2-year distortion, the sealed product and the prices are actually kind of where they should be, which is kind of something that, it doesn't feel good, but the chart on old Magic and sealed Magic is still kind of where it should be. We just had an over-acceleration and over-correction through a 2-year distorted period of time with money. I still don't see sealed product of old Magic or new Magic doing a whole lot. I've noticed a substantial behavioral shift in everybody because people just don't trust Hasbro and Wizards. It's funny because people love Magic, but they don't trust what's happening, and everybody feels very uncomfortable with it. The amount of pullback is substantial. So what does that mean? Does that mean that, the future people are going to look back at this era and nobody's holding it? It's like the inverse of the era of 2017 through 2020, where everybody said, oh God, Rudy's making millions of people hoard closets full of boxes, and which means it's all going to be worthless. And now it's the opposite. So if the opposite is going to happen to what everybody thought was going to happen, how do you react to that? See, that's where it gets really confusing. And we're going to find out. The only way to know is let time unfold, and we're going to find out about everything. We are about a week or so away from Ravnica Remastered collector boxes that I'm going to offer for sale to you all and patrons, and we're going to see what happens. Without getting into details of everything, I've been able to secure some of the best prices, and I'm going to offer it as little as 2 boxes for people who want to spend a lot, all the way up to a master case of 24 Ravnica remaster collector boxes. Do they collapse after release? Do they hold strong? Do they rise after release when nobody buys them and Wizards claims 0 restock, reprint, you take it or that's it? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. We all have our speculative theories, but we don't really know because Wizards has never done this before. They've never made these comments before, and nobody believes anything they say, so it's a very uneasy situation. I've been unable to get a good vibe of Ravnica Remastered because personally, I'm excited about it, but I'm scared and skeptical, just like everybody else, after what they did to Dominaria Remastered, and Wizards and Chris Cox just completely destroyed the product, and they took something beautiful and they made it toxic. Now, hopefully they've learned their lesson from a year ago, but I don't know. We don't really know. So, I can't really get a vibe of what you all think either because TCG player sales of Ravnica Remastered is abysmal. But at the same time, I have patrons saying I'm never going to touch it. I have other patrons saying if it comes out after release, Rudy, and it doesn't tank, I'm going to want some. Then I have other patrons saying, Rudy, nobody believes in it. I want the maximum. I want a master case of 24 boxes. I want you to sell them to me at below wholesale cost. I said, okay. Well, to those of you watching and supporting me and somehow made it through this 2022-2023 bear market, I appreciate you because we've had a lot of casualties of the bear market. A lot of you all are gone. A lot of viewers are gone. Magic views across all YouTube channels in the Magic industry are down 20 to 60%, which is about right. This channel's down about 30% in views. Obviously, I've lost a lot of patrons who've left the collectible world because of either my fault or markets collapsing. There's been a lot of collateral damage. That's just the facts of what's happening. Now, if you want to use that and say I told you so, or leverage it against your store or my store or me or a distributor, that's up to you. But these are the facts of what's happening. And someone's got to say it. So I want you all to know that's where we're at. I'll report to you all, in about 10 days. I'll let you guys know how my attempt at Ravnica Remastered collector boxes go. I'm on the book for, 2, 3, 4,000 boxes of collectors, which is makes me nervous because I don't know what's going to happen. We can hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Now, the last time I said this was Ixalan, and Ixalan collector boxes, and Ixalan's done incredibly well. It's shocked the market. The supply is not high at all. And I've been looking at collector box prices of Ixalan, even Wildsville Drain, and even Doctor Who. And if you go on TCG Player and eBay, and you add up the total depth of the market, the supply is the lowest of all the tracking I've done, and it's substantially lower at this point in time compared to even a Dominaria United, a Brothers War, all the way back to March of the Machine, Phyrexia, which, by the way, just lay it out there. Have you looked at March of the Machine collectors? Has anybody looked at Phyrexia collectors? Like, if TCG Player sells like 30 boxes of each, the price skyrockets by 50%. The depth of these items, due to the quantity and supply adjustments that are happening, I remember that's a fact. I've emailed myself about it. I've received emails from myself. Is very bullish. Now, I know it's not something that fits the narrative and people want to hear right now, but that is really what's going on, and it's quite interesting. So, for those of you who want to take a chance, and those of you who are a patron, and those of you who are sticking around as we enter 2024, wholesale costs and store cost of Ravnica Remastered collectors is about $225, maybe $230 with all the fees and handling and credit card fees and 2%. Let's say $225, $230. If you want a master case, I will sell them to you at a loss below the $230 price point. So, I don't know even if anyone's interested in that, but we will be doing that for patrons who want to do mass openings. They want to hunt serialized Shocklands for the first time ever, and it's going to be a very interesting ride. We'll definitely, I don't even think I have any more Ixalan collector box opening videos. I think I've got 2 or 3 Lord of the Ring collector videos left. We're about out of that stuff, and we're going to have to retire those series pretty soon. The Lord of the Rings one I may keep going if you all want me to keep doing it, and I keep getting requests for it because I want to see a serialized poster. We've got 2 patrons who hit serialized cards, but not the posters yet. They've hit the other serialized out of 100, which has been cool, but not a poster yet. So, that's interesting. We've already retired the Doctor Who series. It really can't get any more of the boxes. I only got a couple cases of Doctor Who collectors for myself, so not nearly as much as I would have liked, since we didn't get a large second wave and everything, which was supposed to happen, and it just didn't happen. So that's where we are with Ravnica Remastered and Magic. No, I will not be carrying Ravnica Remastered Draft, because I don't have any confidence that the product is going to be stable. That particular product, after being pre-dumped by their own company and the people who made the product because they're that stupid, it's already been labeled as scary and toxic. There's no serialized cards. There's nothing special about it. I would use extreme caution with Ravnica Remastered Draft. Extreme caution. Just like Commander Masters Set versus Commander Masters Collector, which, again, I know it doesn't fit the narrative, but Commander Masters Collectors, if you look at how many are on the open market, it's almost at 200 plus tax. It's almost going above release date. Same thing with Ixalan, holding all-time highs. Doctor Who, I think, is leveled out at 220s, 230 or something. These things have been very stable. Wilds of Eldraine, I think, is almost, 190s plus tax? So about 210 shipped. It's been, all these products are doing better than people want to give credit for, but people are so frustrated with these morons at Hasbro and Wizards. Well, let's just fire all the employees. Chris Cox, here's $9 million. Cynthia, here's $5-6 million. Like, these people are so angry at the situation. You know, I don't think people are willing to accept or look at how good some of the data looks on some of these products. So that's where that stands. Vintage products, Magic Reserve List, incredibly weak. I'm not going to sugarcoat it with you all. I know some of you in the comments are going to say, they get what they deserve. Good. Reprint the reserve list. Gain pieces to 0. Which, by the way, link below on eBay. We have our new Alpha Investment shirt out. The Alpha Investments 2023 version. We made 1,500 shirts. As of the filming of this, we're about 1,000 sold. There's about 500 shirts left. A couple sizes are sold out. Click the link below on eBay. This video is sponsored by myself, as always. And go on eBay. The new Alpha Investment shirt on the back says this shirt is worth more than your game pieces. So that everybody out there who wants game pieces and cards to be free and cheap, and they forgot what the word, the first C in CCG stands for, I got a nice $25 game piece shirt for you all out there, because we want to make sure we fit it and we're approved with the online community, the social medias, the Facebook groups, the Twitters, the X, the porn site X, and of course, the official Magic the Gathering Reddit Facebook group, which are very proud of their artwork and their game pieces. So one day, maybe they'll learn how to read and realize what collectible means and realize how Magic made it 30 years. But until then, buy a $25 shirt from me. The shirt's worth more than your game pieces. Back to the video. Next, we're going to talk about Pokemon in MetaZoo. Looking back at everything, Pokemon, obviously, people keep thinking they've overprinted everything in Scarlet Violet. And I'm here to give you all a kind of a not-so-friendly reminder. I do not believe Pokemon is overprinting. I believe what happened is the demand and the people spending and the flippers and the investors and collectors in Pokemon, so many of those people, some of you all, have left the Pokemon world. It feels like they are overprinting and everything's collapsing. This is exactly what happened in the XY era, moving into that block, with Evolutions and Primal Clash, Roaring Skies, Ancient Origins, Breakpoint, Breakthrough, Steam Siege, Fate. You get the idea. We've been through this. Pokemon's print run is probably too high because everybody's left now. Okay? Their print run of this new Scarlet Violet is not so high compared to Sword and Shield that it's being printed to oblivion. It's just people aren't buying. The spend rate of people has pulled back substantially. Okay? Now, Pokemon is such a powerful IP in a worldwide juggernaut. So let me lay this out there. A Pokemon collapse on Scarlet Violet, Mr. P, base set, Charizard Obsidian, the new Paradox. Let's pick the newest set, Paradox, right? The Rift. People laugh and say Pokemon's collapsing because a booster box of Pokemon is wholesale around, $95, $100 a box or something. And the boxes collapsed online from 110, 120 to 90 to 100. And people in Pokemon say that's a big collapse. Isn't that amazing? I'd like to say that about Flesh and Blood, MetaZoo, and Magic, but that's not how it works. In Magic, if something drops a little bit, nobody cares. In Magic, for a collapse to happen, we have to have, an Amazon dump of Brothers War collectors from 250 to 130. A 50% decline, right? That's what it takes to be called a collapse. In Pokemon, oh shit. Paradox went from 110 to 95. It's down 10%. Fuck it. File bankruptcy. Shut it down. Reprint the anthology. Guess what? We're all unstable, just like your ex. I don't know why. I just feel like throwing a box. What else we got around here? I'm not throwing an Urza's box. Don't even think about it. It's funny how perspective in the ranges of how people define collapses, bear markets, and bull markets. To see a Pokemon and how bad Scarlet Violet is, that a box at $100 wholesale drops to 95. So after shipping and fees, you net like 80. So down 10 to 20%. And I'm like, that's it? That's considered the end of Pokemon? Really? This is amazing. So, it's this wild thing. Now we talk about MetaZoo. At this point in time, for the first time in all the years with MetaZoo, I haven't had any communication with the MetaZoo Mike and the company, really. I don't know what's going on. I've sent a couple text messages. I haven't had any responses. In my opinion, for the very first time, I am very skeptical of how MetaZoo is going to be able to pull out of this Hello Kitty situation. This was such a devastating hit for MetaZoo. I don't know how the path forward with MetaZoo is going to work. I am extremely skeptical at this point for the first time in years. The misstep and blunder in the lack of action that was taken in the radio silence is such, I haven't seen a devastating, disappointing, sad situation like this since something like Force of Will releasing Millennia of Aegis, Magic the Gathering releasing Baldur's Gate, a straight collapse. But Baldur's Gate did come back. Force of Will, the trading card game after Millennia Aegis, still makes products. Still makes new releases, and they do pretty good. They're just very small. To me, it looks like after the damage, this is the first time I've seen so many of my own MetaZoo supporters, in other MetaZoo content creators, in people who sell MetaZoo and love the game and IP. It's the first time I've seen everybody going like this. Oh, God. Apparently, I've seen messages to some other MetaZoo YouTubers and LGSs who bought a lot of MetaZoo Hello Kitty. And I mean hundreds of boxes. And obviously, I think a wholesale cost is like $75 to $80 a box or something. I'm not sure what the exact price is for a small store or large store. I don't know how that works with the distribution on that. But I could tell you the complete collapse of everybody is saying that if MetaZoo works with one of the biggest brands in the world, the Kurami company, with Hello Kitty, and the product comes out at $100, $110 a box, and collapses 40% in 10 days, if they couldn't make that work, everybody's stating, I don't know how they can make a normal release moving forward, and anybody would pre-order, buy the product, or do anything special. As of the filming of this, I had multiple Rudy promos supposed to be in the works with Mr. Poncho, the artist, who's now left the company, but I believe he handed over those artworks to the company. I don't know if those are still being made. I don't know what's happening. I'm guessing at a lot of things, so I don't know. But it's very, very sad. And it's very, very disappointing. I can't say I'm like angry cursing, but I'm very saddened by the whole thing. I think it fucking sucks. And I think a lot of the potential of MetaZoo and what's happened, I don't know how, I was nervous going into Hello Kitty. So instead of doing the 1,000 to 2,000 bundles and promo kits and all these things, I cut it down to like 150. And if it sold, I was going to order more and everything, which it did sell. And again, thankfully, I didn't sell at MSRP in these really high prices. I think at release, I sold my first MetaZoo kit for like $300. And you got a bunch of blisters. And I think I priced the boxes at $79 a box, and then like $5, $10 blisters or something like that. So nothing really crazy. So the people who bought from me didn't really lose all their money, but I saw a lot of messages, and I got a lot of messages from you all who, from other stores and other content creators who bought a lot of Hello Kitty and a lot of products at Amazon, like $150 a box, $130 a box, all these things. And apparently all that's a bloodbath, and they're doing damage control. I think TCG Player, the original, refunded like the couple hundred people half their money, and it's just an absolute disaster of execution. And I don't know at this point how a company can overcome that. That's my concern. I don't know. Like, let's say in 2 months from now, actually, I don't even know when the last release of MetaZoo was. The native, like 9 months ago. I think they released one set for the whole. I don't, like, if they release another MetaZoo product, I don't, like, and I don't mean just one little item or, I mean like a full set, a booster box, not like a little spell book or a little supplemental blister. I mean a regular set. I don't know how they would sell it. That's the problem. That's the issue. Because I don't know any LGS that would pre-order any boxes. I don't know how you would actually, like you can't even buy those at $70, $80 wholesale because it's too dangerous. So I guess nobody would order, then you wait till after release, and I don't know how the dynamics of that economy can work now. And the last time I've seen this happen with like Force of Will and previous card games, and some of the card, I don't think MetaZoo's going to disappear. But I feel we're at a point where MetaZoo's growth in future there's going to be this small niche community that's going to love MetaZoo forever, including me, and going to have faith in it, but I don't see a major upward growth path without major hurdles. Major hurdles. Because the problem is the consumer, the public, the LGS, the distribution, the whole model of everybody doesn't trust it. And since the trust has been fractured, you have to rebuild that. And the reason we know this is true is because now all of a sudden, every MetaZoo collector out there, we've seen unloading everything. We've seen the older MetaZoo products, like even Nightfall in first edition Cryptid Nation. You're seeing the people who loved and believed in the game. You're seeing all the old product come to market and everything unload. And that is what I'm using as evidence, as my opinion, how I know for the first time ever, the market was nuked. Because whenever, and before this, MetaZoo Native did really well. Like really, really well. The box prices held at 100, the supply was tight, the print run was low, the secondary market had singles worth $50 and $100 a card. But now that we've seen the Hello Kitty situation, all of a sudden, all these collectors and investors of MetaZoo are now like backing out and unloading everything they have, because you're seeing the product from all the old sets come to market. Where people who believe in the future of something, whether it's a Magic, a Pokemon, a Flesh and Blood, a Sorcery, a Weiss, a Yu-Gi-Oh!, doesn't matter what it is. People who believe in a product are not going to unload the older out-of-print products unless they think the future has changed. And this is the first time, even through the Wilderness, the UFO overprinting, even through Seance and everything, I didn't see a bunch of the original MetaZoo product come to market and people wash their hands with it. And this was the first time I saw that. And I continue to see that. And we saw like Nightfall in the Cryptid Nation first edition. In other words, the really good sets, the iconic sets of what launched MetaZoo. We're seeing those particular products being unloaded on the market and people back out. And that was the defining moment that made me realize the small amount of collectors and investors, if they are liquidating, I don't know how they're going to recover from this. I don't know if the company's even making my next few Rudy promos. I don't know how they're going to be able to instill confidence. I mean, that's where it's at. That's my speech. And I am like the rest of you all. I'm going to wait to see what happens. But at this point in time, I think MetaZoo is going to become similar to Force of Will, where it's not going to, I think they're going to make products and be around, but I don't see any form of substantial growth or changes in the size of the player base unless they're going to need, I mean, let's put it this way. The odds are stacked against them so bad, I don't know if they can lift the weight of that kind of teeter-totter, and they can tilt it back. I don't know what can be done. I don't know. In my opinion, you would need some sort of drastic, incredible communication, press release, shift in behavior, which, based on going into 2024 and what has happened with Wilderness, UFO, and then the slow erosion, now the old products falling apart, and now the Hello Kitty thing, I don't know what can be done. I would need to know internal data, sales rates, what's going on, print runs. Like, what was the print run of Hello Kitty? Was it a lot? Was it a little? I mean, did they print 50 or 100,000 boxes and they actually sold that many? Did they cut the print run to 5,000 boxes and it barely? I don't know where that's at. No, it's got to be somewhere in the middle. And we don't know what they're left with. We don't know how much is actually sold. No, we don't have any data on what's going on. And I don't know what internal stuff with the company is seeing that may be good or bad. And maybe I'm being overly negative and so are you all. Or maybe there's some more positive than we just don't know about. We don't know. And when the market doesn't know, the market, just like Wall Street, will always assume the worst. And that's where it stands. As far as myself, I don't really have a ton of MetaZoo to unload or do anything. I have maybe a half of one pallet of Wilderness, a half of one pallet of UFO. I think I've got maybe half of a pallet of Seance and a little bit of... I don't really have. I've got a couple cases of Nightfall. I don't really have millions of dollars in MetaZoo, but I have a good position because I wanted to keep some for myself over the years. But I don't know. We need some catalyst to make people believe in it. There needs to be not only communication, but execution to make people want to move forward with MetaZoo. And I don't know if the company's going to be able to deliver that. And because of that, we're seeing the complete collapse of every single product back to the first edition. And that's where it stands. If any other updates come from MetaZoo or the company or anything positive happens, I'll be happy to report it. I don't know. I don't see any major price increases or decrease. I think where MetaZoo is going to be where it's going to be. I think next year they release more products, but I think it's going to be very small, and I don't see any major ups or downs anytime. I think it's going to take them multiple releases of amazing execution to get people to feel confident. And after Native, going into Hello Kitty, people felt pretty good because of how good they did with Native. And then, unfortunately, it went back to shit and fell apart, and everybody's upset. I guess I'm thankful I didn't sell a lot of Hello Kitty to patrons that over at the full MSRP or anything. I didn't do any of that. I know a lot of other stores and you all and content creators did, and there's a lot of problems out there, and I don't know how that's going to be resolved. Moving on to the next thing. Flesh and Blood. Reflecting on 2023, I'll be very honest with you all. Just like MetaZoo, I love Flesh and Blood. Just like Sorcery, just like Weiss, I love CCGs. I believe they should be collectible. That's why we call them CCGs. They should be beautiful things. There should be rarities. There should be desirabilities. The chase needs to exist. Well, I'm sad to report with Flesh and Blood that every single Flesh and Blood release since Crucible of War, after the original 3 Flesh and Blood sets, every single Flesh and Blood product is below map. And I'm not in map pricing. In other words, below $85 to $90 a box. And I think the more sad reporting thing I'm going to tell you all is even before Fab 2.0, the Monarch, Tales, and Everfest block, the last one before they went to 2.0 and got rid of First and Unlimited, every one of those sets is at new all-time lows. As the bear market of CCGs continues to claw through and dismantle all these companies, we are seeing the results, as I've yelled at the camera for the last 2 years. The companies who do not adjust aggressively and do very extreme things, cut print runs, and make things more aggressive will pay the price. Unfortunately, with a heavy heart, I have to say, Flesh and Blood continues to get fucking wrecked by the secondary market. And unfortunately, every single Flesh and Blood box is not been doing well. and is below MAP pricing and causing problems. Unfortunately, many other LGSs around the United States and world have complained to Legend Story Studios and James and the company about me even offering patron boxes privately behind payroll, non-public, and of course offering these, and of course you got to pay a $15 a month fee, and of course I have Flesh and Blood cases and boxes, and my price was like $75, $76 a box. And unfortunately, enough people have screenshotted and complained to the company that I will be removing Flesh and Blood sealed boxes and cases even to patrons. I'm going to be backing away from these products because the amount of people complaining and stores upset and the instability of the secondary market. Unfortunately, the company continues to receive negative feedback and complaints from other stores around the country and the world. So, the bad news is it wasn't really selling much, and it's not really going to change anything on my end because the amount of these cases and products selling was substantially low. And because of this, per LSS and James and the company, they've requested that I raise the pricing to the almost $90 a box above to the MAP pricing range, even with the patron and even behind non-public and private transactions. Unfortunately, I'm not really able to do that and charge people a monthly fee on top of that. And I can't really raise the price that much and do that when every single box price and stores are contacting me privately across the United States, offering me their boxes because they want them off the books and they're not able to sell them. And the spend rate of the consumer continues to decline in areas that they're nervous about and that they're losing confidence in. Now, I want to be very clear. The Flesh and Blood company and the growth in the player base of Flesh and Blood is doing very well. It's not going anywhere. I don't want to act like this is the end of Flesh and Blood. This is nowhere near a MetaZoo situation. But I would like to be very blunt about it with you all, that the secondary market is very unhappy. And the secondary market's throwing a tantrum. LGSs are very upset. And enough people have complained to Legend Story Studios, even about me, that you all win. And we're going to be on new releases of Flesh and Blood sets. We'll have our new release and a special promo, hopefully. Moving forward, I'm sure many people have already noticed, we have stopped all Flesh and Blood playmats with the official ones and everything because enough people have also complained to Legend Story Studios regarding doing special playmats and exclusive things. So we've already scrapped that. Enough people have also, the direction also, I'm sure you all noticed, as hundreds of you all and patrons have messaged me. We've seen we don't do exclusive cold foils and promos anymore on releases, and all of that has come to an end in the last year or so also. We do some exclusive fun promos, which some are still pretty good and desirable and fun, but there's been a lot of changes and a lot of adjustments due to market feedback. And unfortunately, the very loud, squeaky wheel voices who love to complain a lot on social media and the internet tend to eventually win as companies get larger and have to have a kind of public PR type of thing. So this is not really Legend Story Studios' fault. This isn't MetaZoo's fault. This isn't Wizards' fault. It's not Pokemon's fault. It's not distributor's fault. You can't assign blame or fault. This is a normal path of growth, adjustments in markets, and these are things that I kind of mentally prepared would happen. And I'll be honest with you all, it kind of lasted longer than I thought it would. And it's disappointing, it's very saddening, but with heavy hitters, I believe we're still doing a fun promo card in the boxes, but after the release, I will no longer stock or carry the Flesh and Blood products after release date. I don't know print run sizes with Flesh and Blood. I don't have any inside information. The company is very tight-lipped with that. I never had it before, and I still don't have it now. If I did, obviously, if I had that kind of inside information, I wouldn't have been buying, sealed Monarch boxes from you all for $200 a box, when now they're like $70 a box. Even below, they're at like all-time lows, with no signs of stability. So, as the bear market in the C continues to be removed from CCGs, we're seeing a lot of damage and a lot of changes as the rubble and the dust calms and we move into a new era of collectibles. As of right now, we have some new kids and hot things on the block, the Disney Lorcanas, the One Piece, the Sorcery, And I'll say the same thing I said 3 years ago. It's not difficult to be hot and successful and get kind of that lightning in a bottle and success off the ground. I love being a part of it and helping that growth and getting people wound up and causing that emotional reaction. But what tends to happen is eventually the excitement levels away as companies change and management expands and employees and payroll expands and overhead expands, and print runs tend to expand quicker based on speculation, and distributors tend to request tons of boxes based on pre-orders, and companies tend to listen to these pre-orders and they overprint. This is the song as old as time, the dance as old as time. And once you fracture that kind of trust, it's very, very, very difficult to bring it back. So moving forward, I do believe we're still continuing the Flesh and Blood Rudy Gemkeeper thing. Hopefully we have another Cold Full exclusive thing in 2024 and some other fun things. I believe that's still going on. But as far as Flesh and Blood and the growth in the secondary market, and you all keep sending me messages, because I had to make this, I had to comment about it because I'm starting to get messages of people noticing on Patreon, Rudy, you're slowly disappearing all the fab sets in the last 30 days. And that's correct. We went from 5 different Flesh and Blood sets that I would stock. We've already pulled down 2 or 3 of them, and they're slowly disappearing. And the last 2 or 3 that are listed to patrons, I only have, I think, 10 to 20 cases left, and that's it. And then those are going to be permanently removed forever. And then I get a lot of messages from you all asking what's going on, and I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not going to ignore the question, and that's what's going on. I get a lot of you all asking, Rudy, can you explain why Everfest is $40 a box and not selling on TCG Player? I get questions saying, how on earth is Tales of Aria that old down to $60, $70 for first edition? What's going on? And it's a simple situation of, at least, again, Rudy's opinion. I don't have any evidence. I don't think it's particularly the products. And that's where you get into these weird things. I don't think many Magic products are bad. I don't even think Baldur's Gate was bad. It was overprinted, and it was mispriced, but it wasn't bad. Now, same thing with Flesh and Blood. I don't think, to this date, I don't even think Monarch and Tales and Everfest are bad products. I still think they're gorgeous products. Tales of Aria is a beautiful product. The problem is, they were overprinted, and going into the bear market, the company went upwards on the printing, and the market went down. So not only did you have one of the 2 variables in the wrong direction, both variables moved in the bad direction at the same time. And so it was amplified even higher. And the market and the messages that I receive, and this is why I tell you all, my opinion and my reaction is simply a summary of everybody contacting me, and I report to you all. You can be angry at me for it, but I'm just telling you all what I'm getting hundreds of messages on and how people feel about what's going on, and I'm telling you all about it. And you can make me the bad guy, you can make your local LGS the bad guy, you can make LSS the bad guy, you can make a distributor, you can make anyone the bad guy. I'm just telling you what's happening. It sucks to hear, makes you angry, this is what's happening. But yes, when people are saying, Rudy, how is Everfest a $40 box? And I said, well, the print runs high, and there's too much of it. Other stores send me a message. Why do distributors still have pallets of Everfest when it's $40 a box, and what's going on? What about MAT pricing? What about this? And, it's when the market distorts, things get bad, people get angry, companies get frustrated, everybody gets frustrated, and everybody kind of tends to turn on each other. This is normal behavior in most human case studies, psychological studies. This is how human beings are. When there's problems, people tend to start pointing fingers, getting frustrated, try to figure out what the cause and effect was. And eventually what happens is, well, folks, eventually after enough back and forth happen, usually the person who gets exhausted first just says, you know what, they back away. Because they're not willing to fight back and forth, and eventually you shouldn't be making decisions based on the other party just simply backing away. You shouldn't ever be making decisions of distributors requesting too many boxes and the people on the internet complaining that the fucking game pieces are too expensive. Because when you keep listening to that shit, you will fucking fail. And we are seeing that with all these companies because the management is listening to fucking morons. And what happens? They pay the price. What happens? Employees get laid off. Hasbro fucking fires people. All these people because management listens to fucking idiots on the internet who screech, who don't spend much money, who want everything to be free, and they have their 10 roommates in the one bedroom with the toilet that doesn't work after Taco Tuesday. And you take advice from that, you get the results from that. And yes, folks, that's the nasty, dirty shit of the real world. And we're seeing it with all these companies. And the worst part about it is, the employees who worked hard to build these beautiful things, they're the ones who are fucked. They're the ones who lose their jobs, get the hours cut. They're the ones that pay the price, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? It's very sad. Because I've warned, I've made hundreds of videos. I've made so many videos yelling about print runs for 2 years straight. And you know what makes me the most disappointed and sad is I honestly feel like no one has ever listened to me on that. And instead, people just want to yell, oh, look, Rudy sold boxes and now they went down. Look how he's destroying families' lives. And, you know, it's very sad. It's very sad. Because so many of these things should have been navigated better. Should have been prevented. And I don't understand how going into 2024, how any company, as big as Hasbro, all the way down to Disney and their fucking Lorcana, who the fuck is running these things? How can the people at the top not see we need to make the CCGs collectible? Stop reprinting the same shit over and over because you get these stupid idiots online who say cardboard's too expensive. Everything should be 25 cents or less. And then these beautiful things and companies and sets, they fall apart. You see Magic sets collapse. Pokemon sets collapse, I guess. Everfest at $40. The brand new Bright Lights of Flesh and Blood. Fucking $60 a box. I had a store send me a message yesterday, which is probably what sparked this video, begging me to buy a pallet of Bright Lights from them for $45 a box. $45 a box. And I think the kicker was, the store was so shocked that I said no. You know what their response was to me? And this one hurt. This one hurt. Their response to me was, if Rudy won't even buy sealed Flesh and Blood at $45, I'm not going to order the next set, and I got to back away because something's going on and I don't know what it is. That was their response to me. And they said, thanks, Rudy, for not saying anything, which told me everything. And that stung. You got me. You know who you are out there. You got me. And it's just like, it's one of these things where you see all this damage and all this anger and emotion all over the place. And it's just so frustrating to be yelling at a camera for 2 years about print runs. And 2 years later, all this fire and smoke and this is fine memes and all this wealth destruction, inventory repricing collapse. And it's just, there's times where I wonder why do I even make these videos? Like, the views just get lower and lower. People just leave the market. You know, it's like, it's such a, it's a weird thing. So I want to swing back around to Magic real quick. I don't think you all realize how big of a deal Ravnica Remastered is in the next 2 weeks. It's a big fucking deal. If Ravnica Remastered comes out and fails and tanks, Magic's in trouble. Because if I can't even sell remastered product, below market at wholesale, almost the same price as a standard Ixalan collector box, and this is a specialty remastered product. If this fails, we're gonna have to really start backing away, and we're gonna have to figure out how to handle Magic in 2024, because that tells me once again that Hasbro's not they were lying and they didn't cut back and change. Because if this print run on this Ravnica Remastered collectors is 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 collector boxes, and they didn't cut the print run down, like Hasbro Wizards, this Ravnica Remastered, this print run better be below 200,000 collector boxes. If it's below 200,000, they're going to be in good shape. If this thing is 200,000, 250, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 Ravnica Remastered collectors, it's going to collapse. If it collapses, I don't know how Magic's going to be able to, I don't know how they're going to be able to handle this with the new player booster boxes, the play boxes coming with the murders of Karlov and everything. And I'm hearing rumors that these play boxes are $120 wholesale and stores got sell for $140, $160 for the non-collector box. And I don't understand how they can have game pieces of no value in your standard draft player box is going to be like $150s. I don't know how that's going to work, man. Because, again, this attitude with game pieces, which is why, again, this video is sponsored by myself. New Alpha Investment shirt, link below on eBay. This shirt is going to be worth more than your game pieces. I got, I think, 400 or 500 left out of 1,500. Wear it to your LGS and be like, hey, I'm only looking for cards under $1. You got any boxes on clearance? And maybe that's what we all deserve, right? Maybe a lot of wealth destruction, and maybe a juggernaut like Hasbro and Magic really dropping and falling apart. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe that's what's... Because, like they say, it's always darkest before dawn, and you never really truly get change until the market capitulates and hits a bottom. In order for that to happen, when I was in 2008 at a brokerage firm, you guys know which firm now. I disclosed in another video what brokerage firm I was when I was a broker. And I remember all these banks and financial institutions failed in 08. But that's what it took. That's what it took. And in 2020, with all this distortion and bad government policy, inflation, all the stupid shit of all these dumb people, maybe failure and utter nuclear disaster of collapsing in games and companies, and maybe that's what it's going to take for Wizards and Hasbro to fire these morons at the top who paid themselves so much. Maybe that's what it's going to take. Maybe at some point in my little puny life, in the next 50 years, I'll get some sort of real contact from Hasbro of someone reaching out and saying, Rudy, will you please work for us for $1 at the top? I'd fucking take the job for $1 as Hasbro CEO. And man, you guys would see changes so quick you'd fucking lose your mind. I would take every upper executive. I'd fucking clean house so fast. Which is why I can guarantee you all for 100% certainty they will never communicate with someone like me, because the people who would have to reach out, I just said I would fire you all. So why would they reach out to somebody who's going to fire the people who's going to reach out? See what I'm saying? Self-fulfilling prophecy. Which is why I know it's never going to happen. Hope you all learned something. For whatever viewers are left out there, for whatever patrons are still supporting me, thank you all. Here's to a better year than 2024, because 2023 was fucked. And, whatever. I don't know. I'm sure I got open slots on Patreon. Try to support me.